You're my practice group. So I do want feedback. I want you to give, like, if you could think there's anything that we can improve upon and do better, then please tell me at the end, or even halfway through. Make it. I want it to be super informal. If you've got anything that's like question, don't raise your hand. I'm not a teacher. So just shout out, let me know, and we'll go through it. But what I do want to do, and I'm going to try and steal a whiteboard pen if I can. What I want to do before we start is there any burning questions that anybody's like, I don't 100% want to cover this, while like you want to know something about nutrition that's like, this is the number one, and hopefully I'll cover it anyway. But if not, I'll make sure that I do. And then there will be a Q&A at the end. So body recon. Okay, I love it. There we go. That's a So specifically, we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll go over some nice things about just basically either tracking your calories or what to eat to make sure that you're in a sufficient calorie surplus, deficit. We'll talk about that once we get a bit more information. Anyone else? No? All right, cool. So we will make sure we cover that off. And again, if you have any questions as we go through it, just let me know. Did that work? No, typical. So this is just a little statement. Why do you guys think that most people quit the gym within 6 months? That's statistically accurate. I'm sure you guys aren't those people. You're a legend. Look at that. Because yeah, look at that. Yeah, definitely. That's most people don't see the results that they truly thought they were going to get, what they imagined they were going to get. And we have all been there. Like I know I've done a squat cycle for like 6 months, come off the back of it, and I did a kilogram to my back squat. That's it. And it's even more soul destroying when you're doing it 23 hours a day and not 1 hour a day. Yeah. So that's definitely one of the big things that we've seen. It doesn't have to be the case, because we're going to try and solve some problems over the next few minutes that are really common, that is either a reframing or a mindset shift, or just going to give you some to-dos and how to fix it. So this is me. I don't know whether you can see that. I was a big boy. This one over here, hopefully. Not the dog. So when I was 18 years old, I had a heart problem that meant that I couldn't work out, couldn't exercise. Obviously, had no idea what I was doing with my nutrition. And that dog, although it's cute, would not get me a girlfriend to save my life. Okay. So, and then this is me actually a few years later, just into CrossFit. And basically, as I say, one of the problems that we seem to think is that you can get results, you can go from this to this, and it's it's my fault. I say it, join my 8-week challenge, get amazing results. Yeah. But, play the industry game. Like, everyone thinks that you can make these big changes in a short period of time without learning how to properly manage your nutrition. Now, there is a mindset shift that we need to talk about when it comes to this. But the main problem that I've seen with people is they just don't stick to it long enough. And I'm sure, like, again, I'm not going to tell you anything you've not already heard today. I'm sorry, I'll let you know that now. You probably heard it, but we're hopefully going to put it into ways that you can understand and take away from. So they just don't stick to it long enough. And in all honesty, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later. This bit over here, where I'm super lean and you can see my abs, was also completely unsustainable. And I was probably weaker than I was in that picture, because I was like, I'm going to get shredded, I'm going to get lean, I'm going to get into super great shape. And then I remember walking out of a 60 kilogram barbell just being like, so this comes to one of my next few things to talk about. So going from that is essentially how I got into CrossFit and how I got into nutrition, because although I managed to lose weight, I wasn't any better off. So I really wanted to figure this whole thing out. And the main problem that I see in CrossFit, and obviously, thank you to Daz and Kieran for being here, but most gyms, they have this chart. Have any of you seen this chart before? No? I've made it fancy and look like mine, but CrossFit produced this. This is the CrossFit hierarchy of needs. And basically what we talk about, they say nutrition comes first. That's the base of the pyramid. Then we have metabolic conditioning, which is your workouts, and then gymnastics, weightlifting, and sport. Unfortunately, most people just forget about this bit, just ignore it completely and think, if I just do this, then I'm going to look great, be in great shape, get all the training results that you possibly want. But even then, most people still focus on this, maybe this. Okay, so obviously you can get phenomenal results no matter what training you do if we've got this base of the pyramid. And I'm going to draw, and that base of the pyramid I like to think is made up of 4 other things. So again, I'm just going to draw on the whiteboard. You're going to love my art, yeah, but this is actually the base of the pyramid. Okay, that's not big enough for anybody to see, is it? So think of this as your nutrition. Yeah. I'm like, I've got a black one in my hand. Let's try this one. All right. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so the first thing that nutrition is going to come down to, and this could be a popular opinion or it could be an unpopular opinion, but it is science and fact. Obviously, calories. Specifically calorie control. So that's that's the first part of your pyramid. And I'm going to check my notes to make sure that I'm getting the next bit right. I told you it's been a minute since I've done this. Then we've got habits, which if you don't have strong habits around your food, we've all been guilty of, just walking past, who just walks past the fridge and just opens it. Yeah, well, yeah, cheese, yeah, just like. I'm still bad on doing cheese as well. Yeah, but again, so that might be a habit that you just run and grab those. And we can talk about this a bit later on about things that people do, but I definitely do that where there's a snack, I know it's there, and I've took it without even thinking about it. So you need to develop habits around how to do that, because it's not just as easy as saying, "What's your calories?" So, although it's important, I'm not saying it's the be all and end all. Okay, calories, and then obviously I like to put over here food quality, which I'm just going to make simple, because what I mean by food quality is nutritious, colourful food. Yeah, it's important. It's the base of the pyramid, because we don't want to just eat chicken, rice, and broccoli for every meal. But I mean, yeah, I could eat cheese every day as well. I definitely do that. Yeah, like I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but mentioning cheese, like, have you ever weighed out the amount of cheese you should eat? If some people say you should have a thumb-sized portion of fat, and you weigh it out, it's soul destroying. Like, it's like, yeah, it hurts your feelings, doesn't it? Like, we've just come back from Saudi Arabia. I was putting cheese on everything for a little bit, and all of that to do to lose weight was stop doing that. Because like, I was like, I've put on a bit of weight, let's just take that cheese off there and we're good, because I was just piling it on. And it's not even good cheese, it's shite in Saudi Arabia, but that's another thing. And then, sorry, I was forgetting the last one, sustainability. Yeah, so that's what I see as the base of your pyramid. Now, there's loads of other things that we're going to come to in a minute, that we're going to get into the nitty gritty of calories, macros, how much protein, what's good, what's not. But without this, we're going to struggle. There's going to be a problem for yourself to continually do this. We've all done that diet for 1 week and then been like, nah, can't do it. It's too hard. Like, I did the keto diet, and I was psychotic, so I stuck to it for a full 12 weeks, and it was awful. Actually awful. I did a video about this where I'm like, this is like the 3 worst diets I've ever done, because I'm like, I had no energy, I was tired, I wanted to fall asleep at my desk, and like back when I had a desk, and yeah, just not great. So, and again, this brings me nicely on to problem number 2, CrossFit's definition. So CrossFit's definition of fitness in 100 words. Okay, now this is, I actually like this, but there is a problem with it. So I'll quickly read it out to you. Eat meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. Let's just underline that for a moment, because well, I have a problem with that. And keep, I can't actually read that. Keep body fat, keep intake levels to the amounts that support body fat. Support training, not body fat. Okay, now that I like. So you're keeping your intake levels of food to amounts that support body fat. Sorry, I keep saying that. Support body fat, yay. Support training, not body fat. Okay. And again, I have a problem with this, because this is like one of the better solutions out there, and it's still not that good, because if you say no sugar ever, like, have you ever been to a birthday party and not, like, who's got kids? Yeah, you go to a birthday party and not have birthday cake. Like, it's just miserable. So back to my graph earlier, it takes the sustainability out of the equation. You just can't live your life like that forever. Now, it's not bad if you can live your life like that 6 days a week, 5 days a week, then great. But I have a particular problem with the fact that the fitness industry throw out these definitions that most people just can't stick to. Again, that upsets me. So, again, I said that we'd have a little mindset shift. So my mindset shift here, has anybody heard of body type? Body types, ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph. So I started CrossFit because I saw Rich Froning on bodybuilding.com. I don't know. You all know who Rich Froning is? Yeah, cool. I've been, like I say, been in Saudi Arabia. I say things like Matt Fraser, and everybody goes, "Who?" So they're good. So I started Rich Froning on bodybuilding.com. He was doing rope climbs, and I was like, he's a beautiful man, and I want to look like that and do that training because that looks fun. So that's, but I'll spoiler alert, I'm not built like that. No, don't know whether you can tell I'm not Rich Froning. Not for lack of trying, but I'm not. And then, believe it or not, obviously that's why we put this picture over here. We've got an ectomorph. That's generally a mesomorph is somebody who is your typical triangle shape. They look like your bodybuilders, yeah, regardless of what they do. An ectomorph is actually usually a lot slighter frame, and as you can see, Tia is typically an ectomorph, which is why she's so good at the endurance stuff. And each of these people have specific traits that actually relate to the body type as well. And then obviously Laura Hovarth, and I feel bad using this one, right? Because she is an endomorph, she is that shape, but she's, and this is where the mindset shift comes in, because I'm that shape. I'm a square. That I always will be. Like, that's and that means that for me to be super lean, I don't do great in the gym. And I'm telling you now, she's the second fittest woman on earth. She knows that she's not got 6-pack shredded abs. So we just have to have realistic expectations that you might not have 6. If you want to perform at your best, you might not look a certain way. Yeah. Now, doesn't mean you can't look that way, because as you saw from the picture earlier, I can get abs, but it's not good for me. Yeah. And I think a lot of people expect to look like the first two and perform amazing in the gym. Okay. Again, you can, but I don't think there's anything wrong with how Laura looks, and she's a phenomenal athlete. But people, I know when she won the games, people were like, bit on her about that, and I'm like, that's unfair. You don't like pick on a sumo wrestler, do you? Like they're built like that for their sport, and she's built like that for the sport. And there might be some sort of reframing where you might want to be like, I'm just built a different way. And again, if you're super lean, if you're an ectomorph, that might also mean that you have to eat more. Your calories are going to be up. You're going to struggle to gain the muscle that's required. But the good news is, if you are an ectomorph, like when you do put on the muscle, bitch. Anyway, so sorry, that's another slide just to highlight that before I move on. Sorry, really quickly, is there any questions about ectomorph, endomorphs, that kind of thing, or the previous slide about the three big problems that I see, that people don't have the right expectations, they don't have the right base of the pyramid in place, and that we're all trying to eat nothing. No sugar, yay. Easiest way is when you get to that, you have to get to your ideal body weight, which we'll talk about. But once you get to your ideal body weight, you're then going to be able to make a judgment. But it's hard to judge until you're at a good body weight, because again, you can look at my old picture and say I was definitely an endomorph, but that was just because I was big. You can't really see that until you can see your frame. You guys, I could probably take a guess for everybody, but the easiest way to do, look at yourself in the mirror. If you've got big wide shoulders and your hips are narrow, you're a mesomorph. If you're slight skinny shoulders, same width as your hips, we're going to say ectomorph. And then endomorph, you're probably going to be like me, cube, square. So as well, they do have specific traits. So an ectomorph, for example, will typically be an endurance athlete. So they like who loves the running workouts. Yeah, I know. But if you're like, yeah, love the running workouts, love the cardio workouts, but then you just like, screw that barbell. And also, can't speak for everybody. This isn't like a defined science, by the way, but they typically like carbohydrates. Like they're carb fiends. But if you move on to the other side, endomorphs, they typically like a barbell, not like me, to be fair. I do prefer the endurance, but they'll also be more inclined to eat things like meats. They're more inclined to move towards fatty, higher fat content foods. Typically, again, nobody falls into all those buckets perfectly. But this was just a funny video, but I don't think it's going to play because we don't have internet, which I'm dead sad about. But it was Matt Fraser saying he loves bread. And he's just sat there rubbing his belly. And I was like, just to emphasize my point of the fact that he's saying, yeah, like, he's not super shredded. He's not like that guy that's like got chiseled abs, but he's the 5 times fittest man on earth for a reason. And we don't, yeah. And he still looks good. Like, that's my point. Don't get me wrong. I hope I've made that clear. He's still, most people would love to look like Matt Fraser, myself included. I'd like to be taller. I want my height though. So, definitions of calories. So calories are important, and I want to make that, we can't get away from it. You can, even if you do a nutrition plan that doesn't involve tracking calories, you still, in some way, shape or form, tracking calories. It's like, that's all of it. And put the definition up there: a unit of energy equivalent to the heat needed to raise the temperature of water by 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. It's boring, isn't it? There's not really much to it, but that is all a calorie is. It's just how hard it takes your body to heat up the food you've eaten to burn it away, to convert it into energy and to convert it into stores for your muscles. People want to really overcomplicate it. They think that calories are this big like demon thing. They're not. It's just it's really that simple, and there's no getting away from the physics of the matter. So Calories are super important. Macronutrients. Who's familiar with macronutrients? Everyone sort of feel like you guys kind of have an idea. Yeah, cool. So obviously protein, fats and carbs. But don't forget the fun one, alcohol. That is the fourth, my favorite macronutrient, to be fair. But yeah, so protein, fats and carbs, they're the building blocks, essentially. That's the way I try to think of it. You've got your calories, that's the most important. And then the next thing that it becomes the second most important. If you've not noticed, I'm going to make this mess up again. I love a triangle. It helps me illustrate my point. But the first most important thing, and we'll come back to adherence in a minute, but is your total calorie intake. I'm gonna get a victim in a second, and we're gonna figure it out. So somebody be prepared, and you have to know your body weight. Sorry. So if you don't want to shout that out. So total calories is important. Then we've got macronutrients, protein, fats and carbs. Protein, meat, fish, usual good stuff. Carbs, bread, pasta, all my other favorite foods. And then obviously fats is the third macronutrient. Each of these, I always think of having their own hierarchy. So total calories is important for your goal. But when it comes to macros, we're going to say protein is the most important because it's the only one that you can't actually live without. So you would suffer and die if you had no protein for a prolonged period of time.
Protein is important, but actually, it's pointless eating protein unless you're eating the right amount of carbs with it, because it won't absorb properly into your body. I've never seen
that is.
And you call them cars.
Carb cars.
Specific, they were like rice, potatoes, good quality carbs to get your protein within your body.
So that's not untrue. That it's a bit dramatic from my point of view, because I'm like, if you just ate protein and no carbs, and your training was just like not CrossFit, you'd probably be all right, and you probably look pretty good as long as you're in a calorie control diet. Yeah, or you wouldn't perform great, but you would still retain muscle because your fats can convert into glycogen eventually to push push protein around your body. And yeah, so the way I would look at that, which is like, you do want a certain amount of carbohydrates. In fact, can I skip ahead quickly? Yeah. So we're just going to skip ahead one, but this is what the current research. I'll send this to people, by the way, if you want it. I don't expect you to be able to read this now. Yeah, of course. I can send this to people. If I'll get Daz to get your emails, or you can give them me at the end. But this is like the ideal amount of protein, carbs for your body, for the workout. And I try to get people in CrossFit to not think about the total amount for moving muscle about, because that's what bodybuilders care about, and it doesn't move the needle that much. It's better to fuel your workouts appropriately than it is to try and say, I'm just going to have the right amount of carbs per gram of body mass, whatever. So, like I say, I'll send people this, but effectively what this is saying is low intensity workouts, super low intensity, which we very rarely do. We're talking like 30 to 60 minute efforts, slow pace. I mean, do you guys do that very often? No? Cool. So, but again, you're looking at 0.8 grams of carbs per pound of body weight. Everything will be like that, and protein's the same. So protein is always 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, but there's more to that as well. So again, I'm going to try and blast through this bit because it's super. This is the stuff that I'll send out to people so you can take yourself through it. But the important thing is these two are where we spend the most of our time. So if you're trying to get the right amount of carbs for your weight, then I would say 2 grams of carbs is pretty much the sweet spot per day. 2 grams per pound of body weight as a total per day. Yeah, which again, we'll come back to it and work out in a minute, because we spend so much time in this space, high, moderate intensity, then that's kind of what we're looking for the best results. So I'm going to see if I can go backwards one. So again, just to come back to this, these things here, if we're not doing all of these other things and sleeping right, it's not overly important. When we talk about how much carbs to have, again, if we've not got a close amount of how many macros and carbohydrates and calories, then we're really pissing in the wind a little bit. Like, focusing on the timing of your meal is like trying to do a muscle up when you can't do a pull up. I'm like, it doesn't matter what the timing of your meal is, because you're not eating the right amount of food. So let me cover this up a second. Who's going to be my victim? Let's work this out. You want to? All right, cool. So I'm going to try and teach you now, really quickly, the simplest possible way to work out your calories, and then off the back of that, you'll be able to work out your protein intake and your carbohydrate intake. So what's your weight? 71 kilograms. Cool. Now, you got your phone? Because we're going to do some maths, and I'm not going to be able to do it in my head. I'm not that clever. So 71 kilograms. So times that by 2.2 for me. That's just your weight in pounds. Equals 156.2. Okay. So that's the first thing we need. Your weight in pounds is your starting point. Then we're going to say, what's your goal? Where do you want to be? You want to gain muscle? You want to lose fat? You want to do a little bit of both? Do you want body recomposition? Do you want to gain? Oh, I like it. Man, I did a great bulk right before Christmas and carried it on right through Christmas. So basically, I'm going to give you the figures. I'll put these over here. So the reason I like this calculation is because anyone can use it, and you can figure it out on your phone in about 30 seconds. If you want to maintain your weight and you exercise 3 to 5 times per week, we're in a CrossFit gym, so I'm assuming most people are in that sort of range. You're going to times that by 14. Yeah. If you've got a highly active job, it's definitely 14. You might say 13. So again, we're just timesing this figure by this number. Yeah. If you want to lose fat, we can go for 12. And if you want to lose fat really fast, you can go for 11. If you want to gain, we're going 14 or 15. Now, this is just a personal recommendation from what I've seen works best with people. If you want to gain weight, most people go in at 15, and then they're disgusted by the amount that they want to eat, or that they have to eat. Same as if you want to lose weight. Most people want to start at 11. They're like, but I want to start at like 2,000 calories, and then they're like starving. So I always recommend starting one up. Okay, so we're just going to times that by, for yourself, 14. What does that work out as, Leah? 2,100. So that's your calorie intake. That's your target. And for you, great news is we could times that by 15. Yeah. Oh, my computer's broke. 2,340. Okay, so that's what I would give you as a range. So again, I like to give you a range. I think it's better than trying to be super strict and only hit a certain calorie number. That's your range, okay? For gaining weight. If maybe you want body recom, I'm just keeping that in mind for you. I would be on these two, because it's enough calories to support muscle mass, but not so much that you're going to gain fat. Okay, so that's just a general recommendation. Again, I've got all this in a document. You can all get it all later, don't worry. So this is where we start. And again, from here, we're going to work out your protein intake. And the simpler the better, because it's good. You're going to change it. You're going to adapt it as you see what's working for you and what's not. But the easiest thing in the world is if you start off with 1 gram per pound, so this is how much protein you should have per day, you're going to have 156. Yeah, easy. Carbohydrate intake, 156. Fats, whatever's left. And it won't, you'll never get, like, some people will get it perfect, but they're also psychotic and they're sat weighing each and every meal, and it's like, gets tedious and not something that you can do at the weekend as far as I'm concerned. But maybe that's because I do like a beer. But this is a good starting point. Now, I've just told you that the ideal is double. It's 2 grams per pound of body weight. Protein, similar. Now, I'm just conscious of the time. Yeah, all right, we're gonna. Okay, I'll take you through to the Q&A shortly, but this is like kind of the important bit for most things. So, 2 grams per pound of body weight is ideal, but it's also kind of ideal for muscle as well. Now, if you're wanting to gain muscle, I would be trying to push those up. If you're wanting to recomp, I'd be focusing on pushing the protein intake up, because that's going to be where you get the most bang for your buck. Okay, again, this is your protein, so change color. And this is your starting point. And you're going to know that for body recomp, this is your focus. If you want to gain muscle, we're pushing them both up at the same time. And if you can get to 2, amazing. But most people never get there, but they get fantastic results on the way. And that's another key thing, okay? Really quickly, want to move on to, oh, it'd help if you could see this again, wouldn't it? Sorry, does that make sense? Is that?
That 156, that's like starting point and build up to 2 grams.
Yeah, and like I say, most people won't get there. If you can get to 1.6 grams per pound, you're doing phenomenal. And anything after 1.6 grams per pound of body weight is, people, you know, I'm onto myth busting now, but people say you piss it away. You don't. Like, you can get, yes. So you can get up to 4 grams. Seriously, so that's what the most recent studies have shown. You can get up to 4 grams per pound of body weight, and you're not pissing away results. But there's a point of diminishing returns after 1.6. So you can eat more protein, but it's kind of one of those 1% things at that point. Maybe if you're a bodybuilder and you're trying to get like super jacked as possible, it's worthwhile. For most CrossFitters, 1.6 is enough. That would be, for people who do functional fitness, high rocks, anything like that, perfect. 1.6, if you can get from 1 to 1.6, great. Now, for people who really struggle to get the protein in, 0.6 is enough. Like, you won't lose muscle at 0.6 grams of protein. And again, that's changed from 0.8 because they did a whole new meta-analysis recently, which is, a meta-analysis is where they just look at all those studies and put them all together. Clever people tell me what to do. So, and again, just that, carbohydrates, relatively similar with that. So I'm gonna click through this really quick. I want to give you practical advice, not just with facts and figures, yeah, because otherwise it's going to mean nothing to you. Basically, everyone got this, yeah? Cool, just checking before I wipe it off. Practical advice, and this is the thing, I made a promise when I said this, that you'd be able to improve your workout straight away, yeah? And this is it. Carbs fuel your workouts. For CrossFit, high rocks, that's the source of energy that you're going to use. Anything like that. They still do high rocks here? No, have I took it away? Kind of. Endurance, yeah. Well, we can't call it CrossFit officially, can we? Is it? No, that's all right. No one's going to sue me right now, but yeah, we're gonna, you know what I mean. So the closer you are to your workout, the sweeter the food you should eat. yeah, or the higher the GI. GI is just a metric that we use to track basically how sweet it is. So the highest GI fruit possible is a date. And I like dates. So if you're 10 minutes out from your workout and you just need a quick hit of energy, you can grab some dates. Or eat some jelly beans, eat some sugar. Yeah, whatever. That's fine. It is okay because it's going to fuel your workout. If you're less than an hour, so that's if you're less than an hour. Within that hour, the more sweet it is, the better it can be. I'm not saying guzzle down a full bag of Haribo. Like, I have seen people try to do that right before a workout. That's pointless. But a bit of sweet, bit of sugar. Again, you're probably looking at, if you take your total carbohydrates for the day and try to have a third of those within a couple of hours before you work out, you're doing great. You're doing better than I'm doing. I just try to eat carbs within 2 hours of work, within 2 hours before a workout. That could be a piece of bread. It could be oats if you're training in the morning. It can be a banana as you're getting closer to that hour. And this is where most people fall down. And correct me if I'm wrong. You all look like you're employed. You run out of work and you come straight to the gym. And you've probably not eaten from 1 o'clock. And then you run straight into your workout. And then you flatline midway through the workout. That might be because your pacing's not great. But it might also be because you've not had any carbs since 1 o'clock. 1 hour before. I mean, again, don't complicate it. A banana, an apple, a bit of fruit. 1 hour before, something that's going to just fuel you a bit before you work out, and you will see a difference. And again, I like to think of this as compounding interest. If you're able to get a little bit more out of every workout because you've eaten just a little something before you get into training, your fitness will, over the course of months, weeks, years, you might not see a lot immediately. You might see a benefit as you're going through your workouts. You might get a few more reps. You might beat you by like an extra. You might say, "Oh God, I don't know. I beat Leah by 5 reps because I had my carbs and she didn't." But this is the reason I want you to be aware of this as well. It's more important for women. Okay, I'm not a hormone health expert by no means, but I've read a couple of books, and it's way more important for women than it is for men. Typically, because men carry more glycogen in the muscles, so they can get away with it. We typically have more muscle mass. Sorry, we do. We can't get away from that. So when they do get deeper into a workout, they can use those stores for longer, whereas women typically not. So I really recommend it for the girls, and you will see a big improvement in your performance as you go through it. Okay, give that a try anyway. And I'm still playing with some stuff for myself, but I did find that if you eat in the morning, if you work out in the morning, who works out in the morning? Still no change morning, kind of. If you're working out in the morning, again, same thing. Try and eat something quick, and the difference that you'll see in your workout. Particularly as well in like your strength pieces or your short intervals. Okay, cool. Let me go quickly on. So again, this is another video that's not going to work. I've just given you a lot of information on protein, how much protein you should have, how many carbs you should have. But like I said earlier, you wouldn't overhead squat before you can do an air squat. You're not going to snatch. This was actually a really good video of Leah snatching, and I know, sorry. You wouldn't snatch before you can overhead squat, hopefully, yeah. And if you're focused too much on the things that we've just talked about and not focused on the habits that you need to build and getting the right amount of calories, focusing on all the things outside of the gym, then like your sleep, your hydration, then you will effectively be pissing in the wind. That we've got a friend, I'm going to use her as an example. Mad Irish bird, yeah, and she is constantly going on about how much protein she should have. She's like, I'm not getting enough protein, can't lose weight, I'm gaining fat. Why are you bothered about your protein? Like, why are we talking about your protein if you like don't even know how many calories you're having? Like, like, how's your sleep? Terrible. Okay, how's your workouts? Awful. Well, do you know what I mean? Like, and getting the right. This is something that I want to try to. I tried to teach her, but sometimes your friends are the worst people because they don't listen to you as much. You finding the right level of body fat, right level of body composition for you will have greater results than any of the carb timing that we've just talked about. So if you're relatively lean, not saying shredded, if you're relatively lean and you're eating the right amount of calories, most people's performance will go through the roof on its own. Like, and I'm talking 95% of people. And then if you want to take it up a notch, that's when we really start to dial those things in. That's when we start to try and take the grams up and all the rest of it. So don't run before you can walk. I'll blast through this. Does anyone still think carbs will make you fat? Just slap them. Yeah. It upsets me deep to my core that we're still talking about this, but they don't. And I'll just keep it that simple. They really don't. I've just spent hours telling you how good they are for you. So, like, they won't make you fat. Too much food makes you fat. That's it. Yeah. Eating more than you are using is that simple. Okay. Sugar-free drinks will kill you. Everyone's still got a problem with Monster and Diet Pepsi stuff. We're all good. Everyone's going like, no, everyone's looking at me like, no, I'm not going to say anything because he's going to tell me I'm wrong. Won't kill you, promise. You can drink a lot of it before it will kill you, to the amount that I personally can't afford that amount of Pepsi to kill myself. So, obviously, I like sugar-free drinks. I do promote them. I am like, yeah, like if it helps cravings, sweet tooth, things like that, then have one. If you have a Pepsi instead of a dessert, and people are like, that Pepsi will kill you. Well, obesity will kill you. Sorry. So don't worry about it. Eating late at night's bad for you. Anyone struggle with that one? It's not bad for you. Don't worry about it. So potentially yes. And also, it's not bad for you. It's not ideal, but it's not. It's like we're talking about bad for you and ideal are typically two different things. In my experience, because in an ideal world, we all hit those macro and calorie goals. But I mean, like, I coached CrossFit for 15 years nearly now. So I've pretty much finished work at 10 o'clock at night, and I eat when I get in from work, and I have done for that time. Again, I would much prefer to eat at a normal time. I'd much prefer to let the food settle so that I can digest properly in bed, all the good stuff that happens. But it's just never going to happen. Well, it might do now because I'm going to go and live in Vietnam. But it can make you feel hungry because you're not digesting the food as well, because it basically sits on your stomach, and part of your stomach digesting the food is the churn. That's why people like to go for a walk after they've had a big meal, because it helps the churn of your stomach digest the food and get it into your small intestine, which obviously helps get it out around your body. So yeah, and that does make you feel hungry because you've not had the food go through you as quickly. That's pretty normal, but it won't kill you. That's the main thing. It's not bad for you. It's just could be better. So don't worry about it too much. Calories don't matter. I think I've just done that one. They do matter. And it's just a matter of willpower. That does piss me off because it's not. And if it was that simple, everybody would be shredded and in shape. So when people say it's just a matter of willpower, there is an element of truth to that. But when you think about the fact that your habits are probably the most important thing to get nailed on. So I've just said, eat before you come to work. You've got to develop that habit first. So you've got to now develop that habit of taking a snack with you to work, which means changing the routine that you're currently in of going from maybe you take meal prep with you already, maybe you buy lunch at work, whatever you do, it doesn't really matter. But you've got to change that habit to remember to take the snack. and that takes 60 odd days. So maybe you can stick with it, but 62 days, I think it is, to develop a habit now. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing there, that like there's a lot more to it, and there's people out there that struggle with, you know, like I was overweight, but I was lucky that I was really determined to fix that. But it didn't happen overnight. I say all the time, I just kept turning up to the gym. I definitely gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight. I did that whole thing. Like coming to CrossFit, injured, not injured. Like doing stupid stuff. Like doing a muscle up without a warm up, shoulder injury. Like you're gonna do this. So it's just not as simply being like it's willpower. It's carefully curating these small little things and bits of information. And hopefully you can take one small bit of information from today that allows you to only apply one thing, and that can make a huge difference. Because then in a few more weeks, hopefully somebody else says, you know what, maybe you should try upping your protein as well now, and maybe you should try this, maybe you should try this. So that pretty much brings me to the end before the Q&A. There's a couple of things. Follow me, please. Begging for follows, don't really like it, but I do try to post nutrition and training stuff every day. Leah's actually in charge of it, so it does get done because she's in charge. And we will give you 2 weeks of free coaching for coming. So that actually starts tomorrow. It's already going for, so we basically, as of tomorrow, we are doing 2 weeks of completely free coaching for nutrition. There is a training program along with it. You don't have to follow it because you're already a member of a gym. But it's all in there, and we basically get into even more detail about tracking, how to manage your calories, and I'm also tomorrow coming up with a new course about not tracking calories and still finding and say I'm doing it tomorrow because I've promised that I will for too many people. So there's 2 weeks free, and I'm going to negotiate this with Daz shortly. But if you do sign up to nutrition coaching with us, RBR will get a kickback from it. So I'll make sure that you guys will all get a special link if you're interested in that and you are interested in getting some nutrition coaching. Again, it is coaching, it's habit-based. We build things on slowly but surely over a long period of time. And yeah, we've basically set it up so we've got a referral scheme, and we'll make sure that RBR get a percentage, which depending on how good Daz is at negotiating will depend on how much that is. But it's usually 10% of whatever you get. So yeah, so that's most of it. Ask me anything. That's just people. That's actually Leah. She doesn't know about this. She's fuming. So first of all, body recomp. Did I cover most of your questions about body recomp? Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else that you're unsure about?
More just like I'm used to coming from like a cut and bulk mindset. So to prioritize performance, I'm a better going down a body recomp rather than a cut and a bulk. Because I feel at the moment I want to prioritize performance, but I do also want to like
so yeah, of course, yeah, it's okay. Like I say, guys, I'll get Daz to put all the information, email, stuff like that. If you got any questions, just hit me on Instagram. Happy to help and answer. No problem. So body recomp, what I would say is find what suits you best, because I know that's a really, it's going to like, it depends, but like I like to bulk and cut, really. I just prefer to do it that way. Yeah, once my brain's in something, I'm better at it. So what I would do is, if I'm going to do a cut, for example, I would just try to like really jack up my protein and carbohydrate intake so it doesn't massively affect my performance in the gym, and I just never lose so much body fat in one go that is going to become detrimental. So you can still do that and still keep your performance high. There's no reason you can't do that for a pretty long period of time. But then, for example, Leah prefers a much more sustainable approach where she just gets a small calorie deficit all of the time, basically, and balances that out with glasses of wine at the weekend. So yeah, so you can try both, but I would, if you want to focus on steady, again, it's just a longer time domain. You're not going to see results in 8 weeks. You might see results in 10. Any other questions, guys? Because I know it's getting cold and I don't want to keep you too long. I promised it'd be 40 minutes. It's been 50 now. So, any other questions? Any? Cool. Like I say, guys, we do have a free thing starting tomorrow. So if you're interested, you can either let me know now, or we can send you messages and stuff as emails. I'll get Daz to do the dirty deeds for me. All right, guys. Thank you all very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, I'll stick about for a few minutes packing up. So if you've got any questions you want to ask, please go for it.